Greetings. Good morning to some, good afternoon to the others. It depends where you are in this part of the world. For us, we are based in Plymouth. My name is Jabo Butera, and I am your host today. I'm the managing director of Diversity Business Incubator, and we bring this conversation to you today. For us, it's an afternoon, as I was mentioning, and a bit raining, rainy day. Closing towards October, where we're going to be having more rain probably and going towards winter soon. And yes, life is still going on. So today the conversation, as usual, our podcast, is around the topic of business. Business in terms of income generating. Business in terms of that direction of looking at making your life better in terms of deciding the path or the speed you want to grow your business or your income generating. Many reasons individual go into businesses. It can be for the purpose of impacting on the society. It can be for many reasons. But overall, it's always you, the individual, making that step forward to take that decision of building a business. So our conversation is around that. Our conversation is saying, how can we inspire you to do that? It's sharing our path and our journey. I've been in business for more than 12 years, running different business and different organizations. And it's sharing that experience with you and sharing what our organization can give to you in terms of how do you write your business plan, how do you do your cash flow, and all those questions. So if you have any question, if you have any query, if you want to know more, it's difficult to give you all this information here in this podcast, but you can email us. You can drop us a text in Facebook, on Twitter, on all the social platforms, which I'm sure you've seen on your screen. So, Diversity Business Incubator, that's the purpose we're here, supporting entrepreneurs and sharing our knowledge with the purpose of inspiring someone to step in and go onto the journey of being self-employed or working for himself, own boss, being your own boss, what it is. That's what it is. Being your own boss. How do you go about that? It would be not fair for us just to tell you our journey and what we're doing and how we've done it if it was just one-way conversation. So we thought for this podcast, let's bring individuals who've walked the walk, who've been there and still doing it on that entrepreneur journey. And that's why I always bring you guests, experts, people with experience, individuals who have walked the walk. So today, I'm really privileged and happy to have a guest, which is going to be bring on the screen and share the time with you. Welcome, Jones.
Hello, Jabo. Good afternoon to you.
Hi, Jones. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Likewise. Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. So I wonder which part of the world are you talking from?
Well, I'm not far from you. I'm in the southwest of the UK, in Falmouth, in Cornwall. That's where I'm based, and that's where I'm with you from.
Wow, Cornwall. It's always people hear about Cornwall, they think it's far away. It's a Land's End, as it's called.
Yes.
Land's End of England, and that's where you're based.
That's where I am now. Yes.
Thank you very much for giving the time to talk to us.
No
Thank you for giving your time to share your experience, for time to share your knowledge and your journey with the purpose of inspiring someone who want to come on that journey similar to what you've been. Again, with we tell all our audience and people we share with, saying among our disclaimer, we're not financial advisors.
No.
We're just sharing our journey with individuals what we've been through. And with that good heart of willing, saying someone will hear maybe what you've been through and say, if Jones can do it, I can do it. So without any further ado, let me give you time to introduce yourself. Who's John and what do you do?
Okay, so I'm Jones. I'm Jones Oviawe. As I explained earlier on, I suppose I'm a founder. Well, first of all, I'm a husband of a wife, a beautiful wife, father of 2 children, and I'm an entrepreneur now, and I've been so for about 6.5 years solidly, with all its ups and downs. Currently, my main focus is my business, founder of MONEYSTORY Technologies, which is a Southwest-based financial well-being coaching app, which is kind of born with the desire to help those who are financially anxious develop the courage and competence to explore money and thrive in that regard. And that's kind of what I do. My background is typically around startups. This is my second startup, having founded one before that fell a bit flat. Before that, I worked in the corporate environment for the likes of Thomson, Reuters, BT, a couple of America-based software companies in a sales capacity or sales leadership capacity. And that's kind of who I am in a commercial sense. Obviously, there's a lot more to me than that, but that's what we're focused on today.
Oh, thank you very much. I like already the name, MONEYSTORY,
Thank you.
the name of your company.
Thank you, man.
That's really it's catchy, and it says what it is.
It
The
is.
money story.
Mhm.
And I'm sure everyone wants to know the money story because we seems to be on that treadmill of chasing the money.
Mm.
And as you can see on the screen, there is many ways you can get in touch with Jones if you
Yes.
want to know more. We're gonna be here for maybe like the next 20 minutes together,
Mhm.
conversing about your journey and about the journey of money story. So if people want to know more about you, they can always find you on LinkedIn,
That's right.
and they can always get in touch with you and communicate with you to know more about the money story.
Yes.
The element you mentioned about financial, or
Well-being.
that, yes. Tell me about what made you going into that. What is it? What's the journey?
Um. Well, financial well-being as a subject, I suppose, if we're going to look at it academically, when we created this business, we had to evaluate what the opportunity was, i.e., what was currently unmet, what was underserved, and what was saturated. And so, when we looked at the conversation around money and technology, what we felt was that most of what was being done was really on the transactional side of money. So the save more, spend more apps, salary advance, credit cards, all this sort of stuff. Um, and um, and that was great and it's good, but it would be really difficult for us as an organization to enter into that. Quite frankly, as a Southwest-based brown founder, I mean, this is a seriously funded big sector. But when it came to the subjective issues around money, so people's financial well-being, people's financial identities, financial competence and resilience when it comes to money, we felt like no one was interested. And because we had to do a lot of research, we developed this as part of a master's program, a business incubator. We kind of realized that when people have financial anxieties, when people have negative self-identity when it comes to money, they do not see themselves as being capable of progressing and being good at money. And that leads to them to continually make bad choices, maybe rely on hope as a strategy for money, refuse to take what could potentially be incremental steps because they just don't see the association. Things just seem so far away. So we created MONEYSTORY as a tool to help people to, in a sort of light-hearted, pleasant way, explore the issue of money, become more confident around money, and develop their competence around money. That's kind of what went into and why we do what we do.
Wow, this is exciting. So how someone can go through about the money story? If I hear about, yes, I'm going through this financial anxiety.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
broadly speaking, it's not something you can just get anywhere. But what we are working on right now, because you have to develop a strategy to get the app out, this is all the kind of business conversation. And we didn't want users to pay for the app because we felt like if you're financially anxious, it's a bit of a restriction to expect you to commit to a subscription for something you're not really sure what the outcome may be. So right now, we're actually focused on public sector distribution. So that means that we're working with the likes of Citizens Advice, housing associations, public sector organizations and councils, and we're exploring with them which of their constituents or their people have the best fit for us to then roll out the app, and they would pay for it and deliver it to the end user. that's our current strategy. Things can change in the future, but for the reasons I mentioned, that's kind of how we kind of sort of move. But as far as our story, social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, you can always catch up with us and ask us any questions. If you want to have a play, have a see, by all means, get in touch.
Also, someone can have a chance to have a play around it and
yeah. We
right.
can arrange. We can arrange.
So again, you just heard from Jones himself. Find him on Twitter or LinkedIn, and then you get a chance to look into MONEYSTORY, how to balance this financial being.
Yeah.
Now, we tend to have the common language is health well-being, or the current one more is more the mental well-being. And you are touching on a core or sensitive element, which society in general, myself maybe generalizing, we tend to put under the carpet. No one want to talk about how are they doing. I mean, that financial check, that checkup. When you go to the doctors, you say, "How am I doing, doctor?" Do you think the society needs to be going looking, saying, financially, how am I doing? What's my well-being, or how is my being?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be in this business if I didn't think society has to do that. But I feel like, life and circumstances have kind of made the decision for us. COVID-19 as an example, the pandemic as an example, the economic impact of recent developments as an example have meant that even those who might have considered themselves comfortable have found themselves in a financial rhythm that's not normal for them. So maybe losing a job, being furloughed, contracting, starting a business, all these sorts of things create an imbalance or loss of rhythm. And financial well-being or well-being as an issue or wellness as an issue for us really speaks to a loss of control, a loss of confidence, and an inability to appreciate how to move forward and if it's worth doing so. And it's a gateway issue that causes all sorts of problems. Money is actually one of those things that cuts across all. So I know the feedback we've had, particularly in the public sector, confirms that we are waking up to that issue. But it's going to take time because it's not something that is sadly initially something that people can make money from. And so sadly, society being a capitalist society, we not necessarily, the money doesn't go into things that think about the well-being first. It kind of goes into things that can make money and well-being.
Well, talking about that, the ideas which can make money, the conversation I had with other entrepreneurs, what I've discovered is all of you are more driven for solving a problem instead of what's the money coming out of it. Do you see it's your same journey? It's your same path?
So yes, it's a complicated question to ask because I have to be very authentic. I stay in the game.
Yes.
Beyond obstacles and challenges because of the difference we can make and by making an impact. But I'm equally motivated by making money. And at least for technology or business like this, which is software and requires some level of investment and requires the scaling up, you have to be clear on the money. And in fact, I'm not sure many people in our communities who are thinking about these sorts of business are clear on the money and how you're going to get money. Because sadly, as I mentioned to you earlier on, this is the capitalist society is focused more on the money. So I harbor the desire to make an impact, but I need to be able to communicate the ability to make money because it's that ability to make money that will get me the partners and investment that I seek.
It's making me thinking. It's making me thinking, and as well as I'm like interested in going on that journey with you. The young Jones, when you were 19, when you were 20, or someone who's listening to you today, who's on that age, college, 19, 16, they have that appetite of going forward, or they're hearing this. Will the young Jones act differently in terms of approaching the business, entering or starting up? compared to the today Jones you have, who you are today?
Oh man. Okay. So I would handle it differently, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure I would have the capacity to handle it differently. And the reason I say that is because, if I'm talking to 18-year-old, I feel like his ability to be successful in business is equally based on his ability to understand himself. So understanding my weaknesses, understanding my strengths, not my weaknesses so I can cry about it, but just so I know and I'm aware of it, but also understanding my strengths. So for example, a lack of patience, a general orientation, that means I don't love detail too much. It's still a problem, but it's just kind of my orientation. And maybe more of a desire to learn and understand new things and intentionally explore new things, not just life happening and then you're learning from what happened in life. Like I'm actually going out there trying to hunt ideas and experience new things. And that's kind of the ideas, really. That's kind of why I would focus on, really, the exploration of myself, embracing my strengths and weaknesses, and being intentional about learning and having knowledge. However, we're in different times now. You have access to the internet, you have access to apps, you have access to podcasts, you have, so I feel like to a certain extent it's easier to do it because with me, I had to get like 23, 24 and start reading books. Whereas you could read books now you can have audio books. There's also what you can do. So I feel like the issues are still the same, but it's probably a little bit easier. Actually, it's probably just as hard because of social media and stuff. I don't know. But it's those issues still need to be addressed in order to increase my likelihood of succeeding earlier in business.
Well, you touch on many points. If I'm gonna go through each of them, will be here until tomorrow.
That's cool. That's cool.
The one I can pick on, or two, I can kind of like want us to dwell a little bit on is in the SWOT you mentioned, the strengths and the weaknesses. I didn't hear any party say I'll have to have a lot of money, I'll have to have 5 degrees, I'll have to have two head and 5 legs. So everyone is capable of starting the journey.
Everyone who wants to start the journey is capable of starting the journey. I tried to make this distinction. Maybe I was a bit over committed to this path, but entrepreneurship is not for everyone. We have to be. I suppose everyone listening to this call is probably interested in it. So it's different, but provided you're interested in it and it's something that you want to do, whatever the reason might be, then yeah, there are so many types of businesses. There are so many models of businesses. You could be service industries. It could be technology based. It could be agriculture. It could be retail. It could be sales. There's so many that there's something for you. But again, this is why it's so important to know yourself, right? If you're not really into selling like that, then you might want to be in a trade, which is still entrepreneurship, right? You're a plumber, you have a plumbing business, and then you pick up the skills and you grow that way. It's quite different from someone selling a insurance brokerage, but they're all businesses, they're all entrepreneurs. Yeah. So and completely, yeah, anybody can have a go at this as long as they're clear on who they are and where they want to follow, what kind of entrepreneurship path they want to go down.
What's that quality you'll ask, or you'll advise, or you'll guide, or you can share with someone who's that age, 19, starting? What's that quality they need, or that muscle they need to strengthen?
This is a deep one. I don't even know if it's a quality like that. And I wouldn't say one. I mean, what's in front of my mind really would be around passion.
Yeah.
And discipline.
Yeah.
Passion, because it comes back to that making an impact. So it's something I want to do. Like an artist actually is an entrepreneur. People don't really
Yes.
see them as that, but they actually are entrepreneurs. But they're focused on their art. So that passion just comes from that thing that you want to do because you desire to do it. It's kind of within you, and it just doesn't go away. But there are also entrepreneurs who things just happen for. So there's an idea around being attentive to opportunities, being attentive to, you know, the world, God, what you want to call it, kind of appreciating a certain gift or capacity you have and leaning into it. There are many barbers, many hairdressers who don't, makeup artists who don't really want to follow that path because they don't necessarily see themselves as talented or see themselves diligent, but they have the gift, they have the art, they have the passion in that. But if they're just attentive enough and willing enough, all they have to do is lean in, and because of the skill, businesses come to them. I envy those kind of entrepreneurs. They make the most money. They love life. Everyone runs after them. So there's two types: the diligence, the passion, and you're driving forward, and then you've got the sort of talent-based, gift and the attentiveness needed to kind of follow it as the wave pulls you on.
I like that, and I know it was a hard question to just pick one or narrow it to one. There's a say, an African say, where they say you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, and you're talking about attentiveness. So I think the strengthening muscle is how to utilize those 2 units you are given compared to the one which is just a single unit given.
Absolutely.
So you touched on it, attentiveness. I think it's really, really a big skill, especially in the young demographic, we might say, where there's this tendency of saying, I know it all.
Guilty.
The 19 Jabot was like, yeah, I'm in, I'm gonna make it, I know it all.
100, bro.
Yeah, this is really good. Well, as I say, time is not on our side. We could have longer talking and conversing and sharing your passion and hearing what you're saying. Passion, you've just mentioned, it's really, really a key element. Let me bring it on this element of your industry.
Okay.
The one you are in, fintech. What is the combination of technology and finances?
Yeah.
We're talking about the other element I want to bring is the time, or we are in this world of internet where technology is in.
Yeah.
And even closer, let's bring to demographic or constituency conversation to communities we want to explore.
Yeah.
The well-being of individuals from the Black community. By the way, October we're going in Black History Month.
Yes.
We've seen the growth of the Black Pound. October is Black History Month. Well, people might shoot at me, but I'll say you are a trailblazer in our community, Jones, for going into fintech, solving a challenge we have of financial and well-being. So you kind of like up there as a trailblazer and an inspiration, I'll tell you. I hope in the history of Black History Month, they're going to come back and look at you in 2 years' time.
I wish, mate. It's a long way to go.
Yeah. See, how are you seeing the financial being of the Black community in general in England, and how can we apply this to this community? Your technology, your solution. Which way are you going with it? What would you like to see happening?
So the first part, I mean, what's the state? Well, the status of financial well-being in the Black community is challenging, to say the least. It's painful, it's restrictive, and generally speaking, the financial well-being is not ideal. And there are a number of reasons for this. I've paneled a few sessions and research programs and stuff around, Black entrepreneurship and that kind of thing. And sadly, the current construction of society means that it's difficult for an individual from a brown background to really give their best to an enterprise compared to their counterparts from other backgrounds because of the amount of things we need to juggle. So the history of generations is not that far. So, you know, I mean, Windrush probably you can probably go to and say, okay, that's kind of where it starts. So, you know, how long have people really been in the system? How long have they had to work?
Yeah.
Social bias in constructional societies, opportunities for employment and issues we face in that regard, the amount of hours we have to work in order just to compensate. I know that's what my parents had to go through and stuff. And, you know, this self-identity where the effective impact of a glass ceiling or the perception of reality of a black ceiling on people's heads mean that, generally speaking, the financial well-being is not great for brown people. You know, we're not in the best jobs, generally speaking. As entrepreneurs, we suffer the most. We have access to the least amount of funding. We have a lot more health issues. It's just ridiculous. And so it's really challenging in terms of finance and being brown. Now, the role my app is trying to play in this is kind of replicating what I believe society should be striving towards, which is to try and give everybody the opportunity to optimize equally when it comes to money and otherwise, and developing solutions that help to bridge the gap and bring balance. It could be a language app that means migrants have an understanding of how money works quickly when they get into the UK. It could be, I mean, there's so many ideas, but I feel like that's what we're trying to do, and that landscape should be looking like, which is trying to bring a level of balance across the issue of finance and opportunity that helps everyone to rise up for the collective gain of the UK economy and society. But it's such a massive thing. I don't know how we're going to get there. All I do is try and play my role every single day and you know, just trust that things will come together.
Optimize equally in the financial life, because that's where that inequality comes in, especially when you're putting it in a good way in terms of forward thinking, forward looking, optimizing. It's not like we are in static quo. It's not like yes, the financial being might not be great or looking, it's all gray. All he's asking is that optimization of it.
Yeah.
And that's where your app comes in.
Yeah, you have to start from a place of reality. You got to, you know, you got to deal with the facts, and then you accept the facts and you start building from there, right? There's no point kidding ourselves.
I like the way you're putting it. Really, really inspiring, Jones. I always say, having a conversation with you, it's always a great pleasure.
Thank you.
It's always inspiring. As the time is not on our side, we got about a minute or so.
Sure.
What would you say to someone who's waking up to this reality of today of I just heard the financials are not great.
Yep.
We're going through these challenges. Everyone is talking about Brexit, talking about fuel shortage, talking about tighten up the belt, the electricity over, so gas going up, the bill is gonna go up. It's more financial, like how can I call? Strengthening on ourselves. So what would you tell a person? What's that moment to take? What can we do?
Well, I don't know if I'm authorized to tell anybody what to do, but you know, I don't, you know, it's a big thing. But what I would say is this: what I'm learning and understanding by virtue of the space that I'm sitting in is that we are currently in one of the fastest and most transformational seasons of opportunity and technology for decades. And I feel like what I would say to that person is what I try to say to myself and my friends, is that there are two things that have to be core in order to try and change your personal circumstances and those for those around you. The first is really network expansion. So the ability to intentionally network, and I say network not in the sense of, well, getting a room, business cards. No, I mean actually crossing your community boundaries, and accessing pockets of knowledge across the board. Because, you know, there are so many opportunities that only come by virtue of the collective knowledge, about connecting with other people and seeing what they know, what they're exposed to. That's the first thing. And obviously the second thing is really based on knowledge. So really, how can you expand your knowledge and know more about the times that you're in and what's happening so you can tap into those opportunities? And if you can't tap into those opportunities, you can get someone you know to tap into those opportunities and bring you along. So I said 2, but there's the last one. The last one's courage. And that's really it. Just the courage to actually act. Because it's one thing to know, another thing to see, and then it's another thing to act. So once you've done those 2 things, you learn more, you know more. The courage to actually act and make that step is what I would say to those individuals. And they're not just words. I see it happening every single day.
I like your optimism. I like your entrepreneurial mindset. And that's why I'm always excited to talk to entrepreneurs, because you are seeing an opportunity. You are excited about it. Although people are talking about doom and gloom, and I was trying to do that. And you just turn around. You talk about optimism. You're talking about opportunity, expanding your network. You're giving those concrete answers or options, which are more forward going. I love it. Really, really good. Well, my friend, thank you very much for giving us your time.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. And great work.
I don't know if you have something you want to add.
Not particularly. I mean, all I would say is that, I don't want to swear because I can be a bit sweary the more authentic I become, but this ain't easy. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. And I love the fact you use optimism. I'm not saying it's easy, but I know it's possible. And we have to believe and know it's possible, regardless of how easy or hard it is. Otherwise, we might as well just go to bed and not wake up. So I just wanted to say that.
Fantastic. Well, it's not easy, but it's possible. Thank you very much for your time, Jones.
Thanks, man.
And that was my host for today, John from MONEYSTORY. He's the CEO of the MONEYSTORY. Check them on LinkedIn, find out more, and start building your story about the money.
Yes, absolutely.
For all being, have a good day.
Take care.